Hi there, it's Designer Lily. Since it's the start of a new year, a lot of us are making New Year resolutions, and one of mine is to become a better designer. Now, there's an elephant in the room, and I want to address it, which is the fact that design as a whole is not doing so well right now, especially the job market. And with more and more layoffs, I've seen design teams, even mine, be cut by 50%, if not more. To be honest, I thought by now things would recover because it seemed like from last year things were trending upwards. But now there are still layoffs happening, and this is all part of the fact that a large percentage of the workforce is being actively reduced. And one of the reasons for that is due to the rise of AI. So how can we as designers still become better at what we do, despite the fact that there is the threat of AI looming in every corner? Maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but from talking to all the head of designs that I know, none of them think that AI could actually replace designers. However, because of the limited opportunities in this market right now, people feel trapped, and you watching this, you may be feeling trapped in your job role as well. Here are ways that you can work to improve yourself as a designer, as a professional, for job opportunities that will eventually open up again, because as we know, the market always swings back. The first skill is one of the most important, but it's not just important for product design, it's important for other fields as well, and that is problem solving. The thing about AI is that it can only solve the problems that you've defined it to solve, and a major part of problem solving is actually defining the problem itself. And that's why product strategy is paid millions and millions of dollars at any company to essentially come up with the right problems to solve. For example, this could be one of the problems that you as a product designer would be assigned to tackle. Your team comes to you and says, we need to fix this modal because this modal is not visually appealing enough, and that's why we think that it is not attracting enough eyeballs and therefore conversions. Now, if you give this prompt to AI, it's just going to design a better modal, which is probably what a lot of junior designers will do as well. That is the first layer of this problem. But then, as you advance in your career, you're going to start thinking more and more opportunities of how to better solve this problem. So for example, the second layer of this problem may be that you start identifying the opportunities in which you would show this modal. So yes, this modal originally lives on a certain page, but then you're thinking, in order to more effectively solve this problem, what if we actually show it in parts of the experience where users could benefit from upgrading? You as a product designer can then go to your team and propose that the project's scope be expanded to include multiple service areas in which this upgrade modal can be featured. And because engineering is expensive and a limited resource, you can propose to first work with user research and come up with mock concepts and prototypes, and then figure out what is likely to be the most effective before executing with engineering. So using Amazon as an example again, maybe you identify that certain categories makes the most sense to have these upgrade modals because you find out that people who, for example, buy cameras tend to purchase faster shipping. What better way for them to get this experience than to upgrade to Prime? It's a win-win because not only are they getting faster shipping, they're saving money and they're a happier customer. The last layer of this is that you see a massive opportunity for innovation. So maybe you come up with a plan and you champion this project to your stakeholders. And what this project could look like is, for example, a feature or functionality that would highly incentivize users to upgrade to this plan. Using Amazon as an example again, maybe this could be rentals, for example, costume rentals. Or maybe Amazon Prime has a shopping assistant that can help you buy gifts for your family members, for your kids, or maybe you run into some kind of issue, maybe something in your house broke. The point is, AI will only do exactly as instructed, and it won't challenge the scope of a problem, nor will it innovate and propose new projects. I've worked on many projects in which it started out really small, such as the example I gave you, upgrade this modal or fix this little bug in that feature. And because I had my own ideas that I advocated for, the projects that started out small ended up being major projects for the company. And even a recent project of mine has netted over $2 million for the company because originally it started out as we're just going to fix this. And I had the idea and I saw the opportunity. And then because of that, I was able to expand the scope of the project and ultimately get the results that we have. None of this can be done by AI because AI takes every constraint, every requirement, every instruction as a fact. If you read about great problem solvers, the one thing they always have in common is that they challenge the instructions, they challenge requirements, they challenge what is seen as the right thing to do, whether those are artists, inventors, or even people like Elon Musk. Now, if you're watching this, you probably have an interest in product design and you're asking yourself, that's great and all, but how do I apply this to work on my problem solving skills if I'm not in an active role right now? And my suggestion is that I would look at products that are existing right now, such as YouTube, and think of ways that you can innovate and introduce features. For example, how would you introduce a shopping experience for Instagram? Or if you were a designer for YouTube Live, how would you be able to make this a more engaging experience and something that could rival the experience of other products like Twitch? Hey, hope you're enjoying the video so far. Just wanted to quickly shout out that I do have a free ebook on interviewing for design. So if you're prepping for design and you want to know how to overcome the most challenging questions with my cheat code tips, then check it out in the descriptions below. The second important skill to work on is craft. Me and a software engineer coworker were talking about this, how there are really no good AI programs out there that can generate good designs. And that's because a majority of the designs that are fed in the data models are frankly not very good. As I've mentioned in previous videos, craft is what stands the test of time. And I was told this by multiple design leaders, understanding the underlying design principles and really being able to innovate is something that unfortunately not a lot of designers have. And there's a reason why, because most businesses don't need groundbreaking designs, right? They may need a good sales page, a generic messaging functionality, and that's okay. But in order to become a designer that will still be able to do this work in, let's say, a decade or so from now, you have to become more and more principled and more senior. On a personal note, as a designer who comes from a fine arts background, I think other designers from a similar background would agree, is that you can tell when designers come from a fine arts background because they tend to care about craft. There's a reason why Steve Jobs back in the day used to go to fairs and conferences and hire engineers who were artists. And the reason why is because they knew artists have this passion and drive to make great products and better their craft. Today, Apple is quite a different company, and I would say a lot of that thinking around creativity and a desire for innovation has been replaced with sort of the financial economy of maximizing profits, buying back shares, stockholder value. I mean, these are things that help to optimize the company for more financials on paper, and we can see the innovation of this company suffer. Why I bring up that example is because it's an analogy to the most types of projects you'll be working on nowadays, where companies really just want you to optimize a screen or a page and using their design systems, and you're basically just a project manager who designs sometimes. It's easy to get trapped and pigeonholed in these types of projects because these are probably the majority of the type of projects you find in corporate America. But the thing is, if you are looking out for your best interests, for your long-term future, you want to continuously work on your skill of creativity and craft so that you can execute on a level that AI is not going to be able to do. The third skill is working on your learnability, because as we know, in this field, you're constantly learning. And one of the best ways to develop that ability is to read, and to read things of substance. I made a decision to read more on planes and airports instead of just going on my phone and scrolling, and I'm still working on reading daily as a habit. If you think about it, we consume so much junk on a daily basis that really does nothing to sharpen our focus and enhance our critical thinking abilities. And it's entertaining to consume, but it essentially does nothing for our focus and our thinking. If you're interested in certain fields or maybe certain people, you might want to read about how they did something or how these fields are formed. If you're reading books that are foundational to fields, it's essentially like having a mentor in your living room. So every time you sit down with that book, you're being guided and you're being mentored by this amazing person who may have lived hundreds of years ago. For example, I took an interest in economics last year because I just wanted to understand how markets work. I started reading Adam Smith, who is one of the founding fathers of economics, and also a textbook about macroeconomics, just because I was curious about the subject. Ironically, today, I work in a company that has a marketplace product in which it's led by product leaders who have a deep understanding of economics. This has been a pattern throughout my career, where I would work on a product that had some kind of experience or background in, for example, a fitness company when I grew up doing athletics, or another product that cared about community, and I've always wanted to cultivate and build communities. So what I'm saying is, the law of attraction is probably real on some quantum physics level, because for some reason, the efforts that you put into this world, you'll attract that same effort back. The fourth skill is exercise. I mean, staying physically in shape is a very important part of this job, and I don't see it being talked enough about in the design community. Because when you have a design career, you're going to be spending decades sitting at a desk, on a computer, with probably bad posture over time because of the long amount of hours that you're not going to be in motion. And this is a very unnatural way for humans to live and operate in, because if you think about it, 70 years ago, people still had to walk around in the office and go to places, and now we're just essentially chained to a computer. I see fitness being talked a lot about in the product manager community, in sales communities, where a lot of it is about presence and confidence, right? And one of the common dilemmas that designers experience is, how can I feel more confident in leading the room? And I would say that confidence is not just mental, but it's also physical, because the body, the posture, the way that your shoulders open up when you exercise, like you can tell when someone exercises because their shoulders are always like open, the way their posture is, all of that is you building your presence in the room. Because as humans, we're animals, so we look for verbal and nonverbal cues. And the nonverbal part is the majority of communication. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, what does this have to do with my design skills, like improving as a designer? Well, I can tell you from experience that the people who are always on track for promotion are people who are favored by leadership. In upper management are usually going to be product leaders or VPs who are not related to design, and they're not interacting with you day to day, but they are the true decision makers to your promotion, because your manager still has to go to their boss in order to get you promoted. So they may only see you a few times a quarter to make an initial gut impression. And competent comes from confidence, and part of confidence comes from how you carry yourself. I know for a fact in my previous workplaces, the people who are fast-tracked for promotions were always people who are well-dressed, physically fit, carry themselves in a certain way that allow them to stand out and make a lasting impression. Promotions and going up the ladder in your career is not just gained by how hard you work. It's mainly gained by the favor you have from the people who have power. Because if you have two people, one is hardworking but gets no visibility or makes no lasting impression on upper management, and one who does okay work but has a very favorable impression with upper management, guess who's going to get promoted? 99% of the time, it's going to be the one who makes the right impression to those decision makers. Tech is a long career, so it's better to build up healthy habits today that will compound in the future. The fifth skill is to be social. And what I mean by that is to be proactive in building out a network of people that you want to become more like. And one of the easiest ways is to find a local community or move to somewhere where a lot of people that you want to become like live there. That's why I moved to San Francisco from DC, because I knew DC was mostly a government industry-based city, and that's the reason why even today I'm able to work in product design as well as create product design from the stance of a senior product designer. If I hadn't done that move, I think I probably would have ended up in visual design or art direction or something like that was common for the roles in DC. Why I'm giving this example is because it's important to surround yourself with the people that you want to become, since we are herd animals. You know, the whole group mentality or the group social dynamics that has been studied in psychology, which is that any part of the community or any group that you're a part of, you're going to become more and more like that group. So if you're not already a part of a community like that, then you need to be social and be intentional in making efforts to follow up, reach out to people, and connect with a larger group. The key to being social is that you have to be proactive. You have to be the one that's reaching out, following up, and you have to be the one that's adding value. Because otherwise, if you put nothing in it and you're just joining community and you're a passive participant, nothing will come out of it. I know for a fact in all the communities I've joined, I only got as much as I put in it. And if you want to build a strong network, then you're going to have to be proactive in being social. When I first moved to San Francisco, I felt like there was a lack of product design community. So I started my own meetup and my own events where I would gather people in a cafe, do crits, do exercises together, and practice my skill of being a designer and also giving critiques. And that's one of the ways I met my now mentor, who has been my mentor for several years. I stopped this community when COVID started, and frankly speaking, there are still days I think about it because I felt like I met designers who really cared about their craft. So if you're interested, then sign up below, and I'll notify you if it ever comes back again. All right, so that's how you become a better designer in 2025. A lot of what I shared is actually based on my personal New Year's resolutions, so take whatever you need from it. If you would like to see more design content from me, a senior product designer in San Francisco, then hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Take care.